Noah, a son of God, born as bright as the sun. When he opens his eyes, the entire house lights up like rays of the sun. This is according to Book of Enoch. And wait until I share with you a connection that I made with Enki from the Sumerian tablet, actually several Sumerian tablets, one in particular called Enki and the World Order. This is incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Bear Leak Project, how the heck are you? This is just going to be a real quick podcast. I want to read to you real quick the description of Noah, because this is fascinating. And after some days, my son Methuselah took a wife for his son Lamech, and she became pregnant by him and bore a son. And his body was as white as snow, and red as the blooming of a rose. And the hair of his head and his long locks were white as wool, and his eyes beautiful. And when he opened his eyes, he lighted up the whole house like the sun, and the whole house was very bright. And thereupon he arose in the hands of the midwife, opened his mouth, and conversed with the Lord of righteousness. And his father Lamech was afraid of him, and fled, and came to his father Methuselah. And he said unto him, I have begotten a strange son, diverse from and unlike man, and resembling the sons of the God of heaven. And his nature is different, and he is not like us. And his eyes are as the rays of the sun, and his countenance is glorious. As it seems to me that he is not sprung from me, but from the angels. And I fear that in his days a wonder may he wrought on the earth. And now, my father, I am here to petition thee, and implore thee, thou mayest go to Enoch, our father, and learn from him the truth. For his dwelling place is amongst the angels. So this is after he's been taken up amongst the angels. He's asking for help from his father, actually his grandfather. And when Methuselah heard the words of his son, he came to me to the ends of the earth, for he had heard that I was there. And he cried aloud. And I heard his voice, and I came to him, and I said unto him, Behold, here I am, my son. Wherefore hast thou come to me? And he answered and said, Because of a great cause of anxiety have I come to thee, and because of a disturbing vision have I approached. And now, my father, hear me. Unto Lamech, my son, there hath been born a son, the like of whom there is none, and his nature is not like man's nature, and the color of his body is whiter than snow, and redder than the bloom of a rose. And the hair of his head is whiter than white wool, and his eyes are like the rays of the sun. And he opened his eyes, and thereupon lighted up the whole house. And he arose in the hands of the midwife, and opened his mouth, and blessed the Lord of heaven. And his father Lamech became afraid, and fled to me, and did not believe what he had sprung from him. What he was sprung from him, but that he was in the likeness of the angels of heaven. And behold, I have come to thee, that thou mayest make known to me the truth. And I, Enoch, answered and said unto him, The Lord will do a new thing on the earth. And this I have already seen in a vision, and make known to thee, that in the generation of my father Jared, some of the angels of heaven transgressed the word of the Lord. And behold, they commit sin, and transgress the law, and have united themselves with women, and commit sin with them, and have married some of them, and have begot children by them. And they shall produce on the earth giants, not according to the Spirit, but according to the flesh. And there shall be a great punishment on the earth. And the earth shall be cleansed from all impurity. Yea, there shall come a great destruction over the whole earth. And there shall be a deluge and a great destruction for 1 year. And this son, who has been born unto you, shall be left on the earth, and his 3 children shall be saved with him, when all mankind that are on the earth shall die, and his sons shall be saved. And now make known by the son Lamech, that he who has been born is in truth his son, and call his name Noah, for he shall be left to you, and he and his sons shall be saved from the destruction which shall come upon the earth on account of all the sin and all the unrighteousness, which shall be consummated on the earth in his days. And after that there shall be still more unrighteousness than that which was first consummated on the earth. For I know the mysteries of the holy ones, for he, the Lord, has showed me, and informed me, and I have read them in the heavenly tablets. So, He's saying, yep, get ready. Now, what I find interesting is, I'll have to pull up this scripture, but in the Old Testament, isn't there a scripture where Moses is talking to God at Mount Sinai? I think it's called Mount Sinai, right? And he can't look directly at him because he's so bright. And then I think of the first creation of Adam and how Adam was bright, extremely bright. Matter of fact, let me pull this up from the Nag Hammadi. This is from the Origins of the World. And this is after Yaldabaoth is distressed about his mistake, according to On the Origin of the World. This is Adam of light shines forth. When the chief creator saw that the light was beautiful as it shone forth, he was amazed and very much ashamed. The light appeared, and a human likeness was visible within it, and it was marvelous. No one saw it except the chief creator and forethought who was with him. But its light was visible to all the powers of the heavens, and so they all were disturbed by it. Since then, this messenger has been called Adam of light, which means the enlightened person of blood. The enlightened person, which is now of flesh, of blood. Okay, so now I want to pull up the advent of the 7 archangels, the deluge, and the deliverance of Noah. Where is that? No. Nope. No. Where is it at? I just had it. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand by. We are having technical difficulties because I am unprepared. I know your time is very valuable, so we'll just sit back here and relax for just one moment and absorb all the fun. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. The advent of the 7 archangels, the deluge, and the deliverance of Noah. So the big boys are getting ready to show up. The 7 archangels is interesting because if you read the Sumerian tablets and it talks about the flood story, the even older versions of the flood story, well, guess what? It's 7 nights, 7 days, and then new 2 comes out. So it's a week. Yet according to this, it's a year. And then now maybe their week is a year, Earth time, demigod status. I'm not sure on that. Or maybe there was just some mistranslations, or maybe there was some stuff added or taken out, or a multitude of other variables. But I do see several connections. What I do find even more fascinating is the connection of Enki that's described as well. So the advent of the 7 archangels, the deluge, and the deliverance of Noah. And one of those 4 went to that white bull and instructed him in a secret without his being terrified. He was born a bull and became a man. So he was born a bull and became a man. Well, who does that remind you of? Who is a bull and becomes a man? I'll give you 5 seconds. If you get it right, the price is right. You can spin the wheel of fortune and then maybe have an opportunity to meet Yama on the way out as Buddha points at the moon as a recycling center for your soul. Well, do you go to the left? Do you go to the right? Or do you do not know where to go? Because left could be right and right could be left, and you just don't really understand. Well, that's for you to decide. But what I will tell you is Enki, time's up, ladies and gentlemen, Enki is referred to as engendered by a bull, begotten by a wild bull. That's in Enki and the world order. Not to be mistaken for Enki and the New World Order, or Enki and the New World Order, but Enki and the World Order, an ancient Mesopotamian Sumerian tablet, thousands of years old. Grandiloquent Lord of heaven and earth, self-reliant Father Enki, engendered by a bull, begotten by a wild bull. Click the link on the Oxford Sumerian Translations website, and you can go into the search box and just type in bull. And this will come up. There's several tablets that discuss bull. Here's another one. Enki, the king of the Abzu, rejoicing in great splendor, justly praises himself. My father, the king of heaven and earth, made me famous in heaven and earth. My elder brother, the king of all the lands, gathered up all the divine powers and placed them in my hand. I brought the arts and crafts from the Akur, the house of Enlil, to my Abzu in Eridu. I am the good seaman begotten by a wild bull. I am the firstborn of On. So, he is begotten by a wild bull. Well, up here in the fallen angels, the punishment of the fallen angels by the archangels, and then the advent of the 7 archangels, the deluge and the deliverance of Noah, and one of those 4 went to that white bull and instructed him in a secret without his being terrified. He was born a bull and became a man. So he's born a bull and became a man and built for himself a great vessel and dwelt thereon. And 3 bulls dwelt with him in that vessel, and they were covered in. And again I raised mine eyes towards heaven and saw a lofty roof with 7 water torrents thereon. And those torrents flowed with much water into an enclosure. And I saw again, and behold, fountains were opened on the surface of the great enclosure, and that water began to swell and rise upon the surface. And I saw that enclosure till all its surface was covered with water. And the water, the darkness, and mist increased upon it. And as I looked at the height of that water had risen above the height of that enclosure, and was streaming over that enclosure, and it stood upon the earth. And all the cattle of that enclosure were gathered together, until I saw how they sank and were swallowed up, and perished in the water. But that vessel floated on the water, while all the oxen and elephants and camels and asses sank to the bottom with all the animals, so that I could no longer see them, and they were not able to escape, but perished and sank into the depths. And again I saw in the vision till those water torrents were removed from that high roof, and the chasms of the earth were leveled up, and other abysses were opened. Then the water began to run down into these till the earth became visible, but that vessel settled on the earth, and the darkness retired, and light appeared. But that white bull, which had become a man, came out of that vessel, and the 3 bulls with him. And one of those 3 was white like that bull, and one of them was red as blood, and one of black. And that white bull departed from them. And then it gets into the death of Noah to the Exodus. And I'll get into that next podcast or at a future date. Thank you for being here with me. Make sure to support our sponsors. GetTheT.com if you want some excellent health products, excellent detox products, stuff that's really good for digestive support, skin care, hair care, even back support. There's a program that's on there for lower back help if you've got some of those opportunities as well. The prices are sharp. The product is good. I love the D365 tabs. The colostrum stuff is amazing. And I take these 8th element tabs, which are off the charts. Very good for not only energy, but also clarity. So check it out. GetTheT.com. That's my shameless plug, ladies and gentlemen. You'll thank me later. Be excellent to each other. Question everything if you want to know more. And be the change you want to see. Nanu, 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 nanu.